Welcome to another edition of Real Estate with Adetola. Today we'll be talking about the relationship between a landlord and a tenant. Joining me today on this show is an estate practitioner and a property developer. No other person but Dr. Olubumi Alausa.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, sir. Today, the topic we are discussing is on tenant and landlord relationship. Okay, let's kickstart this topic with this question. What is the process of renting a property?
Yeah, thank you. In the first instance, a property is a compound word. It has so many things underneath.
Okay.
A property to be rented includes residential houses, apartments, like flats, like duplexes, like rooming apartments.
Okay.
It can be shops. It can be warehouses.
Okay.
It can be hotels.
Okay.
Because when you go to hotels, you are renting a space for a short time.
Oh.
So you should enjoy all the facilities of a tenant, but you are for a short time. So when you are renting a property, the process is for you to look for an estate agent that will link you up with those properties.
Okay.
To give you information about the rent, about the condition to be fulfilled, and then what are the charges the the agent will collect from you. So if you are renting a residential property, you will want to know where are those properties located. Is it suitable for your own use? Like what will determine suitability? Maybe you want the house to be near to your working place, or you want the house to be near your children's school, or you want the house to be near your business area. So that will determine suitability.
Okay. I'll ask you this question, sir. What is now the relationship between the tenant and the landlord? Because according to what you said now, is the agent that is directly relating with the proposed tenant.
Yeah.
So where does the landlord now come in?
The landlord comes in because the agent is representing the landlord in the contract. So the landlord will come in when the property is paid for by the tenant. And the agent delivers the money to the landlord. So the landlord will have to come in for signing of the tenancy agreement, which will be prepared by the agent or the landlord, but paid for by the tenant. Because it's part of the money the agent will collect. Agency fee, agreement, caution fee, and so on and so forth. Those are expenses that will be.
All right, sir. Can you tell us the obligation of a landlord to a tenant?
Yes, the landlord has a primary obligation of allowing the tenant to enjoy the space which he has paid for over a period of time. He should have, in legal terms, we used to say a quiet enjoyment of the space which you have paid for. So the landlord should not come in and disturb the tenant and say, I want to inspect the house. Though you have to inspect, but give the tenant the notice that you are coming to inspect your, not that you will just wake up one morning and start knocking the door of the tenant.
Okay, sir. So that means during the year or month that the space was paid for, that the tenant wants to use the space, so the landlord can come in to come and inspect the property.
Statutorily. Legally, he will have to come and inspect his property.
It's not because most times what we experience is after the tenant moves out, or the tenant is about to move out, that's when the landlord comes in to inspect.
No, in estate practice, you have to do periodic inspection to ensure that the house you have let out to the tenant is not damaged. And that means periodic. It may be once in a year, it can be twice in a year. So the landlord, either himself directly or through his agent, must inspect the property.
Okay.
So that's the first obligation, to give the landlord, the tenant, the quiet enjoyment of the space.
Okay.
Second obligation is that to ensure that the tenant does not suffer any loss or damage by the occupation of the property.
Oh, okay.
And how can that one be manifested? By carrying out the landlord's repairing liability. If the landlord is to repair the external features of the house, like the drainage, like the plumbing system, and so on and so forth, the landlord must do it.
Okay.
Those are repairing liability.
Okay.
We call it external repair liability.
Okay. So what if, let's for example, maybe the landlord of the property is abroad or not close? How do the tenants reach the landlord to tell them, oh, we have problem with this, we have problem with that? Because most people make it feel as if it's the tenant's responsibility to fix the house because they are the one living inside.
No. The tenant has his responsibility, which I will come to later.
Okay.
But the landlord must carry out external repairs.
Okay.
And anything that joins the tenant with other tenants.
Oh.
We call it common features.
Common features.
Fixtures or landlord features.
Okay, sir.
So the landlord must carry out the repairs of those items.
Okay, sir.
So the landlord, if he's not living around or within the environment of the house, that is why he should engage a professional estate agent that will be representing him in his own duty.
Okay.
But let us go to tenant responsibility.
Okay, sir.
The tenant, the first primary responsibility of the tenant is to make sure he pays his rent as at when due. If you don't pay your rent and it falls due, the landlord has the right to eject you out of the house based on certain legal conditions.
Okay.
So you have the primary responsibility to pay your rent.
Okay.
Second responsibility is that you must not do anything that will damage the property of the landlord. For instance, if you have troublesome children and they damage the doors of the house or they break the windows, you have the responsibility to fix it back before you move out of that house.
But sir, is that one not covered with, because we pay
caution fee?
Caution fee, yes, thank you, sir.
Yeah. The caution fee is just like a lump sum you drop to prevent to secure the landlord against any damage. But if the damage you have done is more than the amount of caution fee you drop, the landlord has the legal right to enforce that you pay the additional money.
Oh.
That's the right. That's why there should be periodic inspection at the beginning of at the commencement of the lease or tenancy, during the tenancy, and at the expiration, that is the time you are packing out of the house. There should be inspection. So if there's any damage noticed, the attention of the tenant will be called to it, and then the landlord will estimate the loss or ask the tenant to correct those damages by himself.
Okay. Sir, what is now the cause of landlord and tenant dispute?
Or what are the things that causes their dispute?
Because there are so many cases we've had about landlord and tenant fight, some even involve in physical fight.
Yes. The first thing that can cause a dispute between the landlord and the tenant is not to pay his rent. That is very important. In Yoruba, they say, so you need to pay the rent. 2, what can cause dispute is the issue of damages. Some people are so reckless, their children are not cultured, that the children are they can vandalize the property of the landlord, which he has spent a lot of millions of naira
to build.
So you need to have that's why in the process of selecting tenants, we have certain rules in real estate management. Suitability of tenant to the property. For instance, if you go and pick a person with so many children in a very small apartment, they will damage the apartment, the fixtures, the landlord fixtures.
Yes.
So you need to select the right tenant at the right time. So if you've done that, if the tenant is not behaving, that can cause dispute. Another thing that can cause dispute between the landlord and the tenant is when the tenant is disturbing other tenants.
Oh.
And they are giving the landlord problem. It will cause dispute.
Yeah.
But on the part of the landlord, if the landlord is not carrying out his own repair obligation, for instance, if the tap is faulty and it's his responsibility, let's say we don't even have public taps these days. We have boreholes.
Yes.
It is the responsibility of the landlord to repair the borehole. If the borehole is faulty and the landlord is not coming, will the tenant be happy with that?
No.
No, there will be dispute.
Yes.
So everybody, if you want to give your tenant a quiet enjoyment of his space, do your responsibility as a landlord. If you want to have a quiet enjoyment of your space, do your responsibility as a tenant. Pay your rent. Don't damage the landlord's property. Don't disturb other tenants.
Okay, sir.
Within the estate, within the property, or outside the property.
Is there any rules or laws that can be put in place to minimize or avoid dispute?
Yes. Dispute can be avoided by preparation of a good agreement. When the agreement is there, stating the landlord's responsibility, stating the tenant's responsibility, stating how the dispute can be resolved, then you adhere to the agreement.
Okay.
If you don't adhere to the agreement, it can lead to dispute. And when it leads to dispute, it can lead to what? What you going to court.
Okay. Then another thing is this, sir. In the agreement, as a tenant, that you are given the agreement to sign, can you lay your complaint, or can you say, oh, maybe there is a part that you are not okay with in the agreement? Can it be adjusted or explained, or is there anything, or when agreement is given to you, is either you accept it or you reject it? You can't negotiate with the landlord. Is it possible?
Yeah, when the agreement is prepared by the tenant, and by the landlord. Well, there is a standard. If it's prepared by a lawyer.
Okay, sir.
But the landlord can tell the lawyer that is preparing it additional information.
To add.
Oh. For instance, some people can say, I don't want certain religious sect in my house. Well, we may say we are in a secular state in Nigeria, but that is his property. Or I don't want a kind of profession in my house. I don't want to name any profession so that they won't say I'm castigating a particular profession. Or certain group of people. I don't want this kind of people. So those things will be added into the agreement.
Okay, sir.
So far, the conditions does not run contrary to the federal law of Nigeria. Or the constitution of Nigeria. If the agreement you are making is contrary to the constitution of Nigeria, it cannot hold. It cannot hold. So both parties must check the agreement and see that you are comfortable with the conditions stated. If you are not comfortable, tell them, I'm not comfortable. It's either they remove it or you break the contract.
Okay. Yeah. So you shouldn't assume for them and say, because you've told them, you should make sure that they revisit the agreement and give you the agreement that what you mentioned has been replaced or removed.
Yeah. You have to read it before you append your signature.
After appending, there's nothing you can do again.
There's nothing you can do.
Okay, sir.
You are bounded by the agreement.
Okay, sir. Okay, so how do we then, as a tenant, how do we make proper use of the property that we rented from a landlord?
You make proper use, or you make proper use when you do what is right in the property.
Okay.
Okay. If you are to use it for commercial, you use it for commercial. Okay. If you are to use it for residential, you should use it for residential. Okay. Don't turn your house, a residential apartment, to a church.
That's a lot of things we see today.
To a church. And those are the causes of dispute. Don't turn it. Okay, sir. Don't turn your house to an hotel or a brothel. Okay. Whereby a single lady will start accommodating many men. Okay. Or a single man or a single parent will be accommodating, who is a man, be accommodating many women. Okay. No, the landlord may not like it. Okay. Okay. Then, causes of dispute is when there is disagreement between two tenants, especially when you are living in an apartment. Let's say a block of 4 flats. Okay. Somebody is living there in one apartment, is making a lot of noise with his musical instrument, or maybe he parked his car to block another person's car. This will generate disputes. Yes. And no landlord will like it. Yes. Even there's dispute between tenant to tenant. So everybody must abide by the rule. Okay. Be more considerate about your neighbor. Okay. So that brings me to this question. How do we eject difficult tenants as a landlord? Yes. You need to take the process of law. Don't do what our archaic landlords, which they used to do, which I learned in Lagos. They said that when they want to eject a tenant, they go and put feces in front of the house, or they go and block the house with sand. And this and no, that's colloquial, that's archaic. Yeah. You know, but when you want to eject a difficult tenant, okay, refer it to a lawyer to process the eviction. Oh. To evict the tenant for you. So you don't need to go and catalog the house or go and padlock the house. No, that's not right. Or go and pack their load outside. Let the court take the process. Oh. Or it can take some time, but it will save you from headache. Okay. It will save you from embarrassment. All right, sir. Thank you so much for coming to this. We've learned a lot. As you've heard from our speaker, can you see that as a tenant, you need the right information. You need to know your rights. And as a landlord, you also need to know your rights. So that brings me to the end of today's episode. If you want to get a property, or you're a tenant that you're having issue, or you're a landlord that you're looking for someone to manage your property, you've heard that you need a professional to manage your property for you. Don't go and get quack agents that doesn't know the law. So let's us help you to do this the right way. You can reach out to us. Our number is on the screen. For any professional advice about real estate, please reach out to us. We promise you we'll respond to you promptly. Thank you for having me today. See you next time. Bye for now.